Hi, this is Daryl Stringer, and in this video I'd like to look at outsourcing your photo editing and whether it's the right thing for you or not. Because let's be honest, some photographers should not be outsourcing their editing, and if that's you, then you've got some work to do. But we'll look at that a little later. Now, to help you all with this, I've put together a PDF worksheet that you can fill in with your specific pricing. Yay! So this will make it really easy for you. Now, this is what page 1 looks like. So download your copy, print it out, and let's work through it. Okay, you done? All right, excellent. Now, let's start with this first section. So we want to fill in each different line to work out the total time you are spending on a particular photo package. So let's enter those details in and go through it all. So put the price for a particular package in here, and you might want to print out multiple copies of this PDF and fill each one in with the different prices that you have for different photo shoots, and that could be something really good for you. So then we need to calculate the time spent editing and the total time spent on a shoot. And we're just looking for average numbers here, okay? So don't be too worried if each one's a little bit different each time. Now when I put these numbers in, we get 1.5 hours for editing and a total of 4.5 hours working on this shoot. So that includes travel time. Now next we need to work out your hourly rate. So write down the price that you added in at the start and note the red text with the words price. That makes it easy to locate the value to be included. And then we do the same thing with the total time. So look back for the same green line in the text that says total time and add that value in here. And then what we do is we take our price and divide that by the hours to give us an hourly rate. And in this example, that's $44.44. Now what we want to do now is calculate the fee that it costs you to do the photo editing yourself. So we go back to the editing time that we wrote down earlier and write that value in here. And then we get our hourly rate value from earlier and we write that in here. Then we just need to multiply these numbers together. So grab a calculator if you need to and do your editing time multiplied by your hourly rate. And in this example, that gives me a cost to edit the images myself of $66.66. Now we'll refer back to this value later on when it comes time to assess whether we should outsource or not. Now let's move on to the next page, and this is where we calculate our total editing fees. So you might need to do some research, but a common rate is $2 per photo. So I'll write that down here where it asks for the photo edit fee. Then you write in how many photos you'll have edited, and I'll write 30 because this is a 30 photo package that I'm estimating for. Now next we calculate the total cost to outsource the editing. So write your numbers down in here again and then multiply them together to work out your outsource fee for this particular photo shoot. Okay, you're right there? Alright, now next up we just want to compare this fee with our own photo editing fee. So go back to that section earlier where you wrote down your self-edit fee. So that was this section here where it says $66.66. So you got that? Okay, now write those values down in here. So I put in $66.66 as my cost to do photo editing and 1.5 hours to edit the photos myself. Now that we have the numbers sorted out, it's time to calculate whether you should outsource your photo editing or not. So again, go back and get your outsource fee, and that's where you worked out what you would be paying a photo editing company to edit your images. And for me, that was $60. Next, you'll write in your price for this photography shoot. So that's what you wrote in at the very start back here on that red line. So I write in $200 on this page. And then we do our outsource fee divided by the photo shoot price. So for me, that's $60 divided by $200, which equals 0.3. Okay, now we want to calculate a percentage value. So take that value you just wrote down, just that number, and for me that was 0.3. write that in there and then multiply that number by 100 to work out what percentage of our photo shoot price we should be spending on photo editing if we outsourced it all to someone else. So for me, that comes down to 30%. Now, does that make sense? So what we know now is that based on these numbers, I would be spending 30% of my photo shoot fee to have a photo editing company do the editing for me. Now I've got 3 questions to look at, and here's the first one. Is this percentage lower than 20%? Now in this example, I've got a value of 30%, which is not lower. So I would circle no for this occasion. So let's look at what I wrote here in grey. You may choose a percentage value that is higher or lower than 20%, but I chose that percentage value because if you start spending more than 20%, you probably find that you will start to eat too much into your profit margin for your photo shoot. So that's why I've asked, is this percentage lower than 20%? If it is, then that's good. But if it's higher, as it is in my example, then that's probably too high. So as you can see here, I've said that if you do need to outsource your photo editing, but you have a percentage value that is higher than 20%, then you may want to look for an alternative photo outsourcing supplier that has lower fees, or you could increase the price you charge for your photo shoot to provide that extra room in your margins. Now we've got 2 more questions, so let's look at those. Now we need to see if the fee to self-edit my photos is higher than the outsource editing fee. So go back and find your self-edit fee, which for me was $66.66, and then write down your outsource fee, which is the fee you would be paying another company to edit your images. So for me, that was $60. Now, is my fee to self-edit my photos higher than the outsource editing fee? In my example, it is, because $66.66 is higher than $60, so I would circle yes. Again, note what I wrote down below. If the answer for you is no, because it is cheaper for you to edit the images than outsource them, then that may suggest that you are spending far too long editing your images and you need to refine your editing process. Or it may suggest that your photography fee is too low and that a substantial price rise is necessary. So that's something to consider there, because it should be cheaper for you to outsource your photo editing than to do it yourself. So if it's not, then that's a really good clue that something needs changing. Now the final question is this one. Would I prefer to spend time with my family or doing something I enjoy rather than spend that time editing these photos? Now that's something only you can answer. There's no really objective way to address that one. But note what I've said below that question. Spending time away from work is important, really important. However, it's also important that you can meet your financial goals for yourself or your family. So it's a matter of deciding for yourself whether the dollar amount you would save by doing the photo editing yourself is worth more to you than spending time away from work-related issues doing things you enjoy. If the decision is a tight one, think about what you would say in 5 or 10 years' time when you look back on these days, and will you be glad you spent that time editing, or do you think you would have wished you had spent that time doing the important life stuff? Now, does that make sense? So you want to factor that into your decision making, because whilst work matters, at the end of the day, family, your relationships, and all that stuff that goes on away from your business is the really important stuff. There aren't too many people at the end of their life saying that they wish they had spent more time in their office. And if outsourcing the photo editing doesn't look possible for you right now, look for any changes you can put in place to make it possible. Now finally, we move on to the last part. Now I've asked you to write down how many times you circled yes in those 3 questions above. And in my example, I circled yes on 2 occasions. Now if you answered yes to just one of these questions, then outsourcing may not be a good option. If you answered yes to 2 of these questions, then outsourcing could work well, but you may need to tweak your photography pricing or the amount you spend on outsourcing by finding another service provider. And if you answered yes to all 3 questions, then outsourcing of your photo editing would seem to be a very good option for you, and now you have the numbers to prove it. But what can you do if you want to outsource your editing, but the numbers don't look good at the moment? Well, I'd suggest that you increase your prices. Now maybe that's a bit scary for you, and it probably means you need to work more on your marketing and your positioning so that clients see the value in what you do. Another option is to find another outsourcing company who can do the quality you need at a cheaper rate. There are a lot of companies out there, so start digging into that and you may find what you need. Now both of these options are also things I can help you with, in that I can provide you with the marketing tools you need to be able to charge higher prices, and I can provide you with low-cost photo editing that will work for anyone. Now get in touch with me sometime if you'd like to find out more about what that is and what's involved and what it costs. Now that's it for this video. I hope you find this helpful in determining whether or not you should outsource your photo editing, and perhaps it gives you a much better understanding of your pricing and whether you need to make some changes there as well. Now this has been Darryl Stringer from the Real Estate Photography System, and I shall see you again soon. Bye for now.